TGIF Warriors. Hello, Alexander, Ingmar, Saloom. Okay, Marcus, Kman, Rand, Kurt. Hi, Blake, James, Paul, Mike. How are you? Hi, Brand. Okay, we made it through the week. Euro actually retraced very close to 38%. Cable didn't even get to 23. Okay. Aussie is still, look at the divergences up here. Still think that there'll be a chance down here at 38. And the end's trying to come out of the hole here. So, good morning, Kman. How
Good
are you?
morning, Dale. Good morning, everybody.
Anything besides month end behind the pop in US dollar yen, buddy?
Oh, no, because the opposite should have been true.
Oh, okay.
The Tokyo inflation was a bit higher.
All
Yeah,
right.
IP was not great, but most of the models are calling for yen buying into month end. I was just saying in the chat room, it smells a little bit like burned front runners rubber in the market.
Okay.
People trying to trade it, and yeah, if we don't get anything specific over those US data, perhaps PCE coming up, but yeah, maybe that some have hoped for a bit too much on that yen stuff. I mean, I must say I did agree with the models, but I'm not I haven't traded it luckily because would have been short dollar yen
Yeah.
for some perhaps, but yeah, I'm not going to touch it really. But
It's tight
yeah,
range week. Putting in a higher low.
hmm,
That I mean, compared to the dollar, even though the dollar's
yeah,
bounced, dollar's made a lower
hmm,
low with an
yeah,
inside week. So, stopped right at par 50. So,
yeah,
I think we'll get our 102, 102.50 next week because euros. I know you don't like euro, but that's a pretty ugly week too, isn't it? So inside week and euro and Dixie, that's not a surprise. They're almost the same.
yeah,
So the most bullish thing the market could do next week is euro start off lower and then turn and take out today the highs of the last couple of weeks. Over 112, there should be huge acceleration. So that's the way I'm seeing it. And yen, maybe we still. I actually saw a seasonal study from one of our guests sent it to me, Don Dawson, who writes for Bar Chart, that has a seasonal. He said he had seen, that I thought we might go to 152 in a seasonal support towards the end of August and for a few weeks, a yen rally, just the seasonals. Okay, that's mainly what he does.
yeah. I
So,
mean,
go ahead.
I was just looking at a seasonal chart on yen, and yen well tends to gain just small in the start of September, but September is usually not a great month for the yen, it seems. But
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I'm not a big fan of seasonals because especially not after the COVID now, still not. And
okay.
but who knows? If
Look at this confluence on the weekly
oh yeah,
between
I
the
honestly think
50
we
and
can
2.
get back there.
You think we could?
We could. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
there's a few yen pairs that are actually on the verge of breaking higher. And I mean, you can have month end, you can have the models, but if your small's higher inflation in Japan doesn't help the yen, they're starting to discuss the new budget. It's going to be a record one. So that usually is not extremely supportive for a currency in a way. But so the where we rely on now for yen strength is back to the other side of all the yen pairs. Will the rest weaken? Will the dollar weaken? Will the euro weaken? Will
Yeah,
pound also weaken? Especially pound yen is really banging its head against that 192. If that goes next week or so, we could be in for a decent rally.
Okay. Because as the end crosses should go if we're going to continue to have a melt up, right?
They could, yeah, they could
With
very. I mean,
the S&Ps.
you still have you still have 3% differentials, right, on most of the pairs versus yen. Because and I was looking at the JGB yields today.
Yeah.
Tokyo inflation coming in a bit hotter, and JGB yields haven't moved a pip, not even a tick.
Very
So
managed markets, aren't they?
yeah, I mean, Bank of Japan is still buying JGBs. They by the way, they kept their September buying at the same level as this month, which is reduced, but not yet reduced too much. But on such an inflation print, we should have ticked up a little bit on the yields, and especially as well that if you take the dollar yields, for instance, are a couple of BPs higher. Yen yields should have gone too, but they haven't.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is kind of the area I'm looking for, 102.50. But if the yen's got 150 in it, you would think the dollar at least has this in it. So um,
Yeah,
that's a way, huh?
mm,
Go ahead.
yeah, I think you know. Well, I mean, we don't always want to wait and for trades and everything, but for me, I'm really I will play a few dollars because I'm a trader and I just trade stuff. But for me, the next big thing is the next job report, and that's a week
Yeah.
away. So I'm willing to wait with really decent positions on that report. Imagine that it's not as bad as people expect. I mean, your 102, 103 is around the corner in the US index, yeah.
Yeah. 103s in the Dixie.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I
okay.
usually never look at the Dixie, but I mean, if you look at if you get
Up here.
a not as bad report as the market is now
Because
waiting
they'll
for,
pare back their easing expectations and they'll
well,
be
they will
happy to
have
get a
to.
quarter.
They
Yeah.
will have to.
Okay. Uh, WTI, just a choppy week. I mean, we could have a 2 week reversal, but look at how that moving average is containing it here. So it's almost like a trend line. Sometimes these moving averages act like trend lines. And I'm just going to leave something for people to play around with next week and just, whatever you want to do. It's a 2 week reversal pattern that I follow, which is about 10 days of market memory. And Meta has, even though the market's bullish, there are certain stocks that um, could still be in a topping mode. So here's Meta. Okay, so here's the weekly. Just the two week. You guys remember, all I do is count back two candles, and I just want to show you how these off numbers could be used. So if I count back two candles, the Friday close was 527, right? So we have a red candle. We're under 527. That would be a 2 week reversal. But that's one way to use it. But you could also use the off number. So remember, it's 527, right? Okay, these numbers have about 10 days of memory to the left in them. It's a Friday close, which is important. If daily closes are important, weeklies are even more so. So, you have that 527 level. And so far, the high on this rally, you could have used it for a little scalp, 527. So, and you can do it not just on weeklies, you could do it on dailies. What's your uh, 2 day reversal? This is a 2 week reversal. But you can trade these numbers because the market remembers what happened over here. So I just wanted to share a technique that sometimes I forget to use, but I've seen off numbers be playable in the market for, uh, scalps, both sides of the market. So just thought I'd show that. It's going to come in sharply higher, it looks like. Five better, 523. So you don't have a reversal unless we close under 527. So it's an important day. And um, even if Meta makes a move to new highs, which it probably will do in this kind of melt up, um, there's going to be all kinds of divergences up here against this wedge line. So it's not going to confirm. It didn't confirm here, So this has been one of the leaders. It really didn't get hit that bad in July. So watch Facebook. I'll call it Facebook instead of Meta.
That's
And
because you're the only one on Facebook, Dale.
I never had a Facebook account.
You never did? Oh,
Never, no.
I did, and I stopped using it 8, 9 years ago. Yeah, it's like it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
good morning, guys.
Good
Good morning,
morning,
Dale.
Blake.
Hey,
Good
man.
week. Good week.
Yo,
Good week, Blake.
I, not really. It's been sloppy as the
Chop
market's been
fest.
kind of sloppy. It's like, yeah, I've been basically short the dollar all week, but you got the Aussie breaking out, which I'm long, and I've Kiwi's broken out, I'm long. Sterling's holding its breakout, I'm long, and the euro I'm long, and it's had data working against it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm making money, but it's not like if
No
the
trip
euro
to
would have,
Hollywood.
yeah, if the euro would have participated, and if it was trading 40 pips higher than it is right now, I'd be a lot happier than I am. But I didn't expect much. It's the end of it's the last week of of summer for most people, and I knew the liquidity was going to be poor and it was going to be kind of sloppy, and it has been. It's not as fun when it's sloppy.
Yeah, well, next week all the adults come back from the Hamptons.
Exactly. I think, and then you'll have more people trading than me and Kman and
Yeah,
Bran
yeah,
trading the Forex market in its entirety, right? Right, Kman?
yeah, yeah. So,
yeah, we're
well, so what?
addicts.
Anything else that looks compelling to you? Not that much for me on this week, except dollar bounce. I didn't trade the bounce. I'm not planning on trading the bounce, but I'm planning on giving it a shot up there around 102, 102.50 up there.
Well, that's the point, and this is the thing. K-Man, you said it a little bit earlier. You never really look at the Dixie, and I don't. I take that back. I do look at the dollar index. I do look at the dollar index for direction. Obviously, we don't trade the dollar index. We trade specifically what's going on. But if you look at the dollar index and you're like, yeah, we had a bounce and we're at the 38% retracement. We're kind of stalling here. Could set up an inverted head and shoulder pattern. You can
Yeah,
do all the technical analysis here,
like that.
but you have to be aware that cable, even though it has a little head and shoulder pattern, it's still holding its breakout, longer term breakout point. The Aussie, it's pushing above 68 cents or really close, but we're above the triangle, right? This triangle resistance. Kiwis, massive breakout among on the horizontal resistance here. We've cleared it. We're at the long-term 38% retracement and we're holding. So it's not like we're giving up gains. We're grinding it out. And then really what's holding back the dollar index is obviously the euro. The euro's, pulled back, as you pointed out, Dale, pulled back to its 38% retracement, just about when we got down there yesterday, we were let's see, back to, this is the day before. We got basically to the 38% retracement right here, and we got within a couple of pips of that when we updated you guys, and it's bounced since then, but it's been kind of a sluggish bounce, even with the economic data out overnight. It's been, I guess everybody's just probably waiting for end of month flows, if there's going to be any, or the PCE. But the couple standouts, Dale, and I just tweeted this just a little bit ago, and Lucas mentioned this in the chat room this morning. Look at this dollar CAD, bud. I mean, we have Canadian GDP, right? And you've been very, very vocal about being bearish the dollar CAD. Dale, rightfully so. And take a look at this. Take a look at this chart. I mean, it's a bear flag pattern that basically points all the way down to this ascending trend line, which comes down at 133.20, roughly.
That was a measured move from the 36th breakdown.
But look at, like, it's okay. You got multiple reasons that you're pointing down to those levels. Plus, you have Canadian GDP, which, everybody's betting against Canada still. So what if Canadian GDP comes in hotter than expected or in line, and PCE comes in maybe slightly weaker, as we've seen disinflationary data in China, in Europe, and how about the US? How about PCE just one tick lower than the market's looking at? If we get right here, PCE, let's say the month over month comes in at 0.1. I mean, if that's the case, then next thing you know, you got the dollar CAD, trading below support. And remember, the market's so aggressively short Canadian dollars, and we're going to get that CFTC data later today. That's good up until Tuesday. I'm assuming it's going to be a big change in that data, because everybody got stopped out below 135.90. But I bet you there's still a lot of people that are, hedge funds that
Stuck.
yeah, they're stuck, and they've been waiting for bounces. They're hoping for a bounce back to 136 to get out. And the fact of the matter is, they can't get out. They haven't been forced to hit the bid yet, but they've been looking for bounces, and they're not getting it. And that's a tell that we probably have further, losses
Look at the weekly.
to come.
Look at the weekly. Okay. Look at that moving average, and that support comes in, right there around 3, and under this, you have another failure. Okay, so we take out that 132 level. You're talking.
You're a little
about
muffled, Dale, by the way.
Oh, you take out the 132 level here, 133, 132 takes out that trend line and that support. Then you're talking the mid 120s.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
that
seems
was
a
my
little
notes for Pinkert
far-fetched.
call. That was my notes for Pinkert call 400 pips ago.
Yeah, that would be crazy. And you got to, and I mean, Kman, think about what world are we living in if the dollar CAD's trading down at 125? Just like what kind of world would we be in? We'd be in a Kamala Harris wins the presidency world. That's the world I think we're in. What do you think, Kman? Takes us down there.
That could take us down there, or oil at $120. Lumber wood at over 1,000. I don't know.
Yeah. Brand said
the other side wants a weaker dollar too. They've come out and said it. So it's not just one side's going to cause a weaker dollar. I think it's weaker dollar either way. That's why I think you could have a lot of confidence longer term in that position.
It is going to depend on who the Treasury Secretary is, and I agree with you there, Dale. A Trump presidency, it may get the knee-jerk reaction, dollar strength. And actually, I think some of the banks were looking at that too. They're like, oh yeah, the euro would go to, like 102 and then back to 110. I actually agree with that. I think it'd be a lot faster than people believe. I think that the initial reaction is in a Trump presidency, just off the cuff, really quick, without getting too close and not knowing what his cabinet's going to look like if he does win. I would think
it'll be made of gold.
Yeah, well, I just think that the euro will drop really quick. We'd probably be trading down here at I don't know, 107, 108. And then you have to be ready to scoop it up as soon as that happens. Like as soon as you get down to whatever level it is that you're looking at. But anyway, that's neither here nor there because that's not today. You asked what is really big on my radar right now. I've already got a short dollar rand in from earlier this week because we were looking at this, very bearish price action here. It did break down today, and this is a big breakdown. I mean, obviously, you look at the longer term triangle. It's kind of like the dollar index. It's broken down and it's just kind of making its way lower. And then today it's like, it snapped, and we are, trying to break down towards 1740. But I look at like the longer term trends of the dollar rand, and if the dollar sell-off sustains, which, you look at the dollar index, and the dollar index looks like it's, even though we've had a little bit of a bounce this week, it's mostly just euro. Everything else looks, relatively. I mean, the dollar yen, I guess, is firmed up a little bit. It's consolidating, but everything else looks pretty dollar bearish. If the euro regains its composure, we get back above 111. This dollar rand looks like it could, challenge channel support, which would take us all the way back down towards 16 by the time we get there. By the time, I don't know if we're going to make our way. A lot would have to happen with the South African economic data and government and whatnot for us to get down there, but it's just a big breakdown. That one sticks out like a sore thumb to me. Another one, and Kman, I'd like to hear what your thoughts are here, is the dollar mex. I have no dollar Mexican peso exposure. I think we eventually break through 20. This reshuffling and firing of justices in Mexico, and the appointing of new judges, I think, is going to have a very, very negative impact on the Mexican peso moving forward. And I think that the market's going to play into that. But I don't want to chase it up here. And it is coming off a little bit right now. I'm looking to buy dips, anywhere near 19. Kman, what are your thoughts here about the dollar mex?
Yeah, I mean, they could
everything
vote
that's
this
happening?
thing. They could vote this thing as early as next week, right? Next week, it's going to what do you call it, Parliament or government over there for the vote on this judges thing. Yeah, if that goes through, it's probably going to hit the Mexican peso again, at least in the short term. Interesting though is that I've seen a few people starting to think that we may have gone far enough now, that a lot of the negativity is priced in. But
JP Morgan does.
sorry?
JP Morgan does.
Oh, is it JP? I've
Mm-hmm.
seen somebody else as well saying that it's after all still like a 10 and 3/4 or so % currency, and still the proximity of the US and all of that. But yeah, I just want to be cautious. And in the meantime, we just have to note that volatility is quite high. You do like 2-3% in a day, right? I just would like to say be a bit careful. Just one word on that rant. I've seen it's been over 150 days since we had power cuts in South Africa. So that election promise that they made, it seems like the new government is trying to live according to their government to their election promise, which would be a first in any country. So that apparently is being talked about and been named as one of the reasons why the rand is doing pretty okay. Of course, I mean, if you can function normally, if you don't have any power cuts, or load shedding, it would be it's a positive, right? Besides the dollar being of course lower overall. So we need to keep an eye on that one, how it will evolve as we get more into September, October.
No power,
that
the whole country has no
Oh
power.
yeah, Eskom.
Yeah.
You haven't. I mean, if you don't have a generator in South Africa, you better live right next to a river or so to have some power, because
Wow.
they can. Yeah, they can. And they usually announce it, but when they announce it, it's like for the next 10 minutes or so.
So before your time here at ForexAnalytix came
Mm,
in, and for years we had a trader, his name's Jax, and he actually moved from South Africa to I believe Norway, I believe one of the Scandinavian countries.
uh-huh.
Anyway, He'd been in South Africa for years, and he was in our chat room for years, and he would tell us. I mean, you can. I mean, I'm talking. Back here, 2018, 2019. I mean, this has been ongoing for, as Kman's pointing out, years and years and years and years. So you're right. I mean, if they could have some sort of normalcy, maybe that could be the reason that. Yeah, that's a great point, and I hadn't even thought about that, where I haven't read it actually recently. So yeah, that's good. That's crazy. Anyway, hey, we got just a few minutes before this data. Do you have any thoughts, Kman, on Canadian? I know I said my piece here, but as far as the GDP data goes, end of month, anything flow related?
Okay, so far we had the data coming out in Canada have been pointing to a potential next week, because they're meeting next week. They're one of the first ones to meet, if I'm correct. They're meeting next week. So Bank of Canada should cut again from 4.25%, probably down to from 4.5%, probably down to 4.25%, unless this GDP really surprises to the upside. But according to what we saw on the data, I wouldn't think we are going to come out extremely far from expectations. So for as far as flows will go, I think today is more or less going to be dependent on month end, where the signals should not be overly large, but ahead of a long weekend and this end of month, people may not want to stand in front of too many flows. So according to most of the models, it's going to be still dollar selling. But again, I'm going to really, I'm actually not trading it a lot, really not a lot. But I do think the Bank of Canada will cut again next week.
Okay, well, let's not forget, guys. Just in case you didn't see it, the DAX is at all-time highs right now, and the S&P is not far away from there. As you pointed out, Kman, it's a long weekend. Any disinflationary data that comes, we see the PCE. If any of those, and remember, PCE is one of those. And here I'll just pull it up via ForexAnalytix so we can see it. We have all the components. Most of the analysts do, and so their forecasts are all pretty good. It's very rare to see PCE come too far away from expectations, so it's not going to be a big surprise. But if there is, and there's a tick lower in any of the PCE, that could be the catalyst that sends the S&P to new highs. And as Kman pointed out, it's a long weekend. We will not be broadcasting on Monday, FYI. It's Labor Day here in the US. The flow show will probably be on.
We will be on.
But so you guys can catch the European show, but the F.A.C.E show will not be, because it is Labor Day. The one thing that point out is Kman just did, it is a long weekend, and if the data disappoints, that could send stocks to all-time highs, and no one's going to stand in the way. No one's going to want to get in the way ahead of a long weekend. And so just keep that in mind as we navigate through this. Now, we got just a few minutes. Dale, with the DAX at all-time highs, how are you feeling about the markets here?
Well, get it over with already.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought we were headed there yesterday, and then I don't know what that wave of selling was later in the day. Where S&Ps and NASDAQ gave up a lot of their gains, but they picked them back up overnight. So yeah, let's make new highs. Let's go to whatever, 57, 58, 61. Let's go.
All right. Well,
I do think that we're in the time zone between here and October, where a lot of guys that have been bulls are looking for highs, and who knows where it is.
I did an interview with Greg Horvat yesterday, and you guys know Greg. He does all the Elliott wave work on ForexAnalytix. He does. He thinks we're in wave 5, and so that completes above new highs. You should watch his video, because he gets very specific on his data. If you're following me via Twitter, or Trader Summit via Twitter, or just go to tradersummit.net, you can find it there. We are about 20 seconds away. Canadian is to the left. S&P is right in the middle. We got yields here to the right, which, by the way, the bond market it broke down yesterday out of the triangle and yields, popped. So just keep that in mind as we're going into today. Canadian
Euro
GDP
Canadian
worse.
GDP flat, but a little bit better on the annualized.
Okay. PCE in
One
line.
tick lower on the prices.
So prices came in one tick lower for PCE and the price index. I mean, the price index right here. I thought it came in forecast. Well, anyway, the dollar is showing some weakness against the Canadian. Yields are coming off a little bit. S&P is not doing
It's a
anything.
non-event.
Yeah, and now we're just gonna have to wait for end of month flows, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, this dollar CAD, actually surprisingly, this dollar CAD is, well, it's bearish. I mean, technically, but I'm surprised the reaction here in the dollar CAD. Any standout for you, Kman, right now?
I'm afraid not. I think we just wait for the month-end flows now.
All right. Yeah. You see the dollar yen showed a little bit of a reversal here from, this 50% retracement.
Candle. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 15-minute chart. No, I would try not to get too excited about that one, but you can see we're, up against some resistance here. The euro's just kind of holding out. I mean, nothing really happening, guys. I wish we could run around in circles and say that there's amazing
Go enjoy
stuff
your
happening.
day.
Right, it's a Friday.
Make it a 4-day weekend.
Make it a 4-day weekend.
And if you don't have to do anything, and if you don't have to do anything, wait for tonight when everything is over, or on Monday to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, with that being said, I want to first of all say a couple of things. Thanks for hanging out with us this summer. It's been a great summer of volatility. I mean, we've had so much of it. We all knew it was going to be a pretty busy summer, and I think the market's really delivered volatility. And for those of you that are not in the ForexAnalytix community, you should try it. It's $1 for 10 days. Come jump in the chat rooms. I mean, Kman and I have been in here all morning. This is where, Kman and I were talking about the dollar yen and, end of month flows and, how things are, look, you want to have conversations with us all day long. This is it. $1 for 10 days. Try it out. Download the mobile app. Get all this analysis every day, multiple times throughout the course of the day. You have live squawk feed, risk management calculator, different types of analysis, harmonic analysis, basic technical, Elliott wave, all Grega's work here. So, it's a wonderful package for traders. And, especially for those of you that haven't tried it, you should try it out and jump in the markets with us, especially next week. It's going to be a busy one next week because we have non-farm payroll next week, don't we, Kman? And as you pointed out earlier, and I agree and been talking about it all week, next week is going to be the bee's knees for volatility. What do you say?
Yeah, I think next week, sorry, very important. And by the way, next week then as well, we've got the next Bank of Canada, and that's going to be important as well, because our good friend McClem was saying that he doesn't mind moving away a little more from the US rates, so they're still a bit dovish. We will see. There's going to be opportunities next week, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big one. And remember, just because most traders and institutions are coming back, volatility and liquidity comes online next week. I mean, you get a lot of these big institutions, or funds, or hedge funds or whatever. They're all plotting and planning. It doesn't mean they just jump it on their desk and going full bore. They're plotting out what they want to do and how they want to strategize. So liquidity comes back throughout the course of the next 2 weeks, and it'll be back obviously full by the time we have the Fed on the 18th, which is going to be, obviously key. But next week's jobs report is going to give us a really good idea whether and all the data throughout the week. We got ISM services, ISM manufacturing, JOLTS, weekly unemployment claims, ADP, all the goods. It's going to give us a very good picture of whether the Fed's going to deliver us 25 basis points or 50 basis points. And that's going to be the big driver next week. So it's going to be a big one, and you know where to find us. We're going to be right here,
Waiting
going,
for you.
waiting for you and going through all the data. And don't forget, like Kman said, both Ryan and Kman will be back on Monday, even though it's Labor Day. You know, for those of us here in the United States, if you're outside the United States, they're still going to be broadcasting early in European hours. So make sure you catch them. And Dale, I'll pass it over to you, buddy.
Okay, I concur with Blake. I think you're going to have historic market action happening between now and the election and after the election. Get to be part of a community because you're going to need more than your two eyes. That's all we have are two. In a community, multiply it. And, you know, it could be the historic part of it, could be this, you know, huge melt up like a lot of guys are, you know, few guys I know, 6,100, or you could be like a Dave H. Contrarian looking for 7,000. And then, look, he's been right. Okay. But after this melt up, what follows is historic too. So, you know, get ready, you know, get your sea legs underneath you. And I tell you, it'll become better if you start sharing your work because you'll want to put your best out there and it'll make you better because you'll be, you know, accountable. No one blames you for a chart not working out, but it's also good to share your work because you get better at doing it, right? So sharing your work, you don't put out junk, and either do the other, you know, couple hundred people that are doing the same thing. Have a great weekend, everyone. Don't just, oh, you know, you're embarrassed by, don't be embarrassed by your charts, Brand. Put them out there. Yeah. And then you won't be embarrassed.
He does, yeah, and he's good at it
Yeah.
too. So
All right.
keep
So
at it.
he says he's embarrassed. You know, nothing to be embarrassed about. We're all growing. We're all still learning. All of us are. You know, ask Blake. Ask
That's
Kman.
right.
He's still learning. So
Every day.
yeah. So that's it, everyone. Have a great weekend. I know, and if I don't know, I sure hope we added value to what you're trying to accomplish this week. So good hunting and enjoy your weekend. Don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Best team on the net. The Three Musketeers have held it together. And who knows, maybe we'll have Ryan with us next week as well. And you know, maybe he'll finish
Yeah,
his covert
the,
mission and he'll
the next
become a
time
traitor again.
the next time he harasses us, Dale, about
Yeah.
having Thanksgiving off, I'm gonna say, well, you know, you
Oh
took
my
the
God.
entire month of August off.
He's a
So
very thankful. No, he's a very thankful guy. So, you
he's,
know, every day is Thanksgiving.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
like, oh, you guys in the United States, your pre-Christmas Thanksgiving holiday. I'm like, dude, you took all of August off. So
yeah,
there,
yeah.
you
Anyway,
know.
all right.
All
That's
right.
why he'll have longevity because he recharges.
Exactly.
So, have a great weekend, everyone. And
Thank you,
okay.
Dale.
All
Thank you
right,
very
K
much.
man.
Have a great long weekend, you too.
Okay,
Thanks,
guys.
K-Man.
All right. See you, Blake. See you,
Hey,
everyone.
coach.
Enjoy. Adios.